After everything that's happened over the last few days with Solana, its price has started to give us some clear indicators of what may happen next. And in today's video, I'm going to give you a quick update on what I'm expecting and how I'm planning to go about it to, of course, maximize gains in crypto. So with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into today's video. Now, looking at Solana, we can start to see the picture that is being painted since November 22nd. We, of course, did come down to put in a low around $11 as everyone did start to buy up this news and everyone started to get a little bit excited about this drop here. We could see its price get pushed up around 35%, currently sitting at about a 32% gain. Now, after that 32% gain, we need to start to look to see, okay, well, what is happening now? Because, of course, anyone who bought in this is looking pretty good. We need to start to realize that we are still nowhere near returning to glory, and there are a lot of obstacles in the way. Now, the current obstacle in our way is sitting at $15 currently. You can see here that as we did get a bit of a bounce back here, we came up and put in a high around $15.15. Now, once we put in that high, we did start to get a continuation to the downside, meaning that this was a macro point of rejection, and that is going to be a level we are going to have to deal with in the future. And now you can see that is what we're dealing with right now. In times like this, whenever we run into a key level of bearish liquidity or just resistance, we have to understand that that is now a wall. And if we're capable of jumping over that wall, we're in a great position to see some growth. But if we are not able to get high enough over that wall, the rejection is typically pretty dang on bad. Now, a way we can start to kind of get clues and signs of how this is going to go is by looking at something like the RSI. What we can see is that on the RSI here, we are seeing a drive of bearish divergence, in which we did put in just barely a higher high here on this wick. But in that same time frame, we put in the lower high here on the 4-hour RSI. Considering the fact that we're putting in this bearish divergence sitting right around the 70-ish level on the RSI, again, that is something we need to watch out for because typically speaking, that will lead to some type of continuation to the downside. Looking at the hourly RSI also, you can start to see that this one is in a similar position in which we put in these lows and pretty consistent lower lows. Even when we spiked up here, we're still putting in consistent lower lows in a time frame in which we're putting in a general uptrend here on the price. So as that starts to happen, that is typically a sign that some type of correction to the downside or minor capitulation is on the way. So because of that, I'm starting to prepare for the thought that we are probably going to get a bit of rejection here. Again, we are in the situation in which if we do break 15.15, great, we're in a beautiful spot and to be able to see some growth, but it doesn't seem likely that that's going to happen. I will talk about what happens if we do break it later on in this video, but what we're going to talk about now is what happens if I'm right and we do start to capitulate to the downside here. Well, if we start to capitulate to the downside here, we are actually in a beautiful situation in which we may start to put in an inverse head and shoulders, which is typically a very bullish bottoming out pattern. You can see here that we would have put in the left shoulder here, we would have put in the head, and if we do start to capitulate to these lower levels, we very well could put in the right shoulder here, and now we're in a great situation, which would give us some type of amazing breakout target, which, you know, let's just guess here. Of course, this is all a guessing game, but that could put us testing back up towards the 20 level. That's not impossible. So if we do start to capitulate, I wouldn't immediately start to panic. I would start to look at, okay, where are we going to need to put in a right shoulder to actually be able to see some recovery? And what that looks like is your 618 to 786 Fibonacci's to the downside, currently sitting between 1240 and 1170. If we come back down and put in a low around here, we get a beautiful retracement to the downside and get a bounce, which does happen for Solana. We are in a fantastic position to see growth, which could be all the way back up towards $20, and that could be a decent buying opportunity. That also plays in perfectly with the idea of putting in the right shoulder, because as you can see, this is the exact level that we put in a left shoulder. It would be sitting directly in this Fibonacci retracement zone, which just means that this could be the beautiful setup that we're looking for Solana to see some growth. Now, do understand, we are in a position in which there are macro factors affecting Solana. If bad news comes out about Alameda, that they're liquidating their Solana, that Solana's hitting the market or anything of that nature, Solana is going to tank because of it. That's just how supply and demand goes. But at this point, you know, while things are a little bit more calm and secure, we could be in a position to see some type of recovery. It's not completely out of the ordinary for that to happen after we do get a bit of a pullback. You can see that our RSI on the dailies is sitting right around 39. We haven't been that low since way back here when we did get this nice little correction to the top side of over 75%. And so for that reason, it very well could happen. But in the short term, I'm looking for, do we get rejected off this 15 level and do we hold this 1240 to 1170 level as a result of it? Now, if I do get invalidated, and invalidation variation will look like us breaking 15.15. Again, I don't think it's very likely, but it's possible. And so what I would be looking for here is if we're capable of breaking it and backtesting it. So I'm not going to jump the gun on this thing. If we break out, likelihood is we're going to pull back for our 4 wave to the downside. And as that 4 wave does happen, I do believe we would come back somewhere around this 15.15 zone. And if we are capable of retesting this, flipping this resistance here into some support, then I would be in a more of a position to say, okay, we're looking for growth now. Now I'm going to accumulate a little bit of Solana, expecting some growth here. So I'm not going to jump the gun. I do believe if we break over 15.15, again, we're going to come put this 4 wave back down somewhere around here, and then I'll make a decision. So do stay tuned, turn on notifications so you don't miss an update once one of these moves does happen. Again, I am saying it can go up. I am saying it can go down. This is not a game of being right, but being prepared. And so I hope you guys do feel prepared for whatever move does happen with Solana, and do turn on notifications again so that you are capable of seeing any updates I come out with over the next few days. But with that said, that's going to be about it. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you all next time. Peace.